What's up, rich friend? Are you accidentally holding yourself back from the wealth you deserve? Today, we're diving into 7 habits that are keeping you poor and, most importantly, how to break free from them. Before we jump in, here's a question for you. What's one thing that you know you need to change about your finances? Drop it in the comments and let me know. And while you're here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another money hack that can take you to 7 figures and beyond. All right. Let's get into it. Habit number 1, living beyond your means. Let's keep it real. If you're always trying to look rich, you're going to stay broke. Financing things you can't afford, maxing out credit cards, or always upgrading your lifestyle to match your income, that's a recipe for financial disaster. Real talk, ain't nobody watching you nearly as hard as you think that they are. The people who you're trying to impress, they probably don't even notice you. And that's no shade at you, it's just the fact that people have their own agendas and they're doing their own thing. They don't have time to be focused on what you're doing. But worrying about what they're thinking about, or even if they're thinking about you, often leads to debt, anxiety, and a constant feeling of being behind. Here's how to fix it. Take a hard look at your spending and create a budget that prioritizes needs over wants. And remember, delayed gratification builds long-term wealth. Start practicing what I call the 50-30-20 rule. 50% of your income goes to needs, 30% goes to wants, and 20% goes to saving and investing. This is a super easy way to make sure that every single dollar you have has a job. Habit number 2, not tracking your spending. Here's a sneaky one. Most people don't even realize where their money is going. If you've ever gotten paid and then felt broke just a week later, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if that's you, raise your hand in the comments for me. There's no shame. We've all been there. And this is a safe space. So let me know. But those unused subscription services that I know you have, and those impulse Amazon buys that I know you make, because I had them and I used to make them, they add up fast and they eat into your ability to save and ultimately invest, which we'll get into a little bit later. Now, if you've ever thought, I don't make enough money to save, chances are you're just unaware of where your money is leaking. Small changes here can lead to really big results over time if you fix the leaks in your finances. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to start tracking every single penny for 30 days. To help you out, you can actually download my free budget tracker from my website, which I've linked in the show notes for you. Once you see where your money's going, now you can start plugging the holes. I can promise you, you're more than likely spending way more money eating out than you even realize. Now, once you realize where the money is leaking and you're able to fix and plug those holes in, now you can take that money that you're going to save and you can redirect it to a savings or investing account instead. Habit number 3 is avoiding investing. Are you waiting for when I have more money, I'll start investing? Newsflash, and I want you to hear me and hear me real good. Time in the market beats timing the market. I'm gonna repeat that so you hear me one more time and for the people in the back. Time in the market beats timing the market every time. That means the longer you wait, the harder it is to catch up. And time is not waiting for any of us. Here's what I need you to know and what I need to really drill down into you today. Investing is not just for the rich. It's how those people became rich in the first place. And here's the other thing. Every dollar that you have sitting in a traditional savings account that's not earning much interest, or every dollar that's just sitting in your checking account not really moving, is losing its value to inflation every single day. Now, you still need a savings account, but it needs to be a high yield savings account. A high yield savings account is going to get you 10 times more money freely and passively just while you're chilling doing whatever you want to do with your life than it will in a traditional savings account. Now, I've got an excellent episode on my top 5 high yield savings accounts, and you can click on it above or click on it in the show notes, depending on if you're watching this online or if you're listening to it on podcast. Now, here's what you need to do. In that high yield savings account, you're going to put 3 to 6 months of living expenses in that account. That's going to be your emergency fund. So should any catastrophic event happen, any true emergency, job loss, car breaks down and you need a large repair, a huge medical bill comes up, any sort of, thing that you probably won't be able to just cover from your regular checking account. That's what goes into your high yield savings account. That's going to be your 3 to 6 months of living expenses. And that's what's going to earn 10 times more interest than if it is sitting in a traditional savings account. Every other dollar that you have should either be allocated to spending or to investing, with investing being prioritized. I always say you have to pay yourself first. And I know a lot of times we hear that term, pay yourself first, and most people don't really know what that means. What that really means is every single time that you get paid, whether it's every month, every 2 weeks, every week, or if you're lucky enough to get paid every day, that's cool too. Every single time you get paid, you need to be taking a percentage of that and literally paying yourself first, whether you're putting that into your high yield savings account for your emergency savings, or if you're putting that money into an investment account. So let's say you get paid every 2 weeks and you take 10% of that money and you allocate that to pay yourself, right? So while you're building up your emergency savings account, you're going to take 10% of that money and put it into your emergency savings. That's paying yourself first. After that, you then pay all of your bills, right? And if this feels like it's too tight for you, that means that you need to cut some expenses, or you need to create extra income, which we'll talk about in a moment. Now, when it comes to investing, Just start small. You don't have to go gung-ho. Just start small and then build up. Look into low-cost index funds through platforms like Fidelity, Charles Schwab, E-Trade, Vanguard, and the like. Also, apps like Robinhood make it really easy for beginners. And look, even I have a Robinhood account and I'm pretty advanced here. So I love Robinhood and I also have Fidelity, but any of the ones I mentioned are really good to start with. Don't feel like there's a certain amount that you have to invest. Anything is better than nothing. Even just $50 a month can grow into a pretty substantial six-figure nest egg over time. But you gotta educate yourself on how compound interest works. And then you can just watch your money grow for you. For my take on which stocks are gonna blow up this year and that you need to invest in right now, click the link above or click the link in the show notes. Habit number 4 is relying on one source of income. If all your money is coming from one paycheck, you walking on real thin ice, baby. What happens if that paycheck stops? Whether it's due to a job loss, shifts in the economy, or unexpected life events, relying on just one source of income is way too risky. We all know that wealthy people tend to have multiple streams of income. For them, it's non-negotiable, and it should be for you as well. Rich people diversify their income, so if one income stream dries up, they've got others that help keep them afloat. Here's how to fix it if you have this problem. Start brainstorming a side hustle or a passive income opportunity. Think about investing in dividend-paying stocks, selling a skill that you already have, or even starting an online business. Your goal should be to have at least 3 streams of income. If you need help with this, I've got a couple great resources for you. One, you can click the link above or in the show notes, and I'll tell you several ways to make over $1,000 per night while you sleep. The second one is my passive income package, which you can find on my website. I've also linked it here for you in the show notes. This package is gonna help you strategically plan out your passive income streams. And it also comes with a bonus of 300 passive income ideas. And that's gonna get your wheels turning so that you can get on your way to having those 3 passive income streams, so you're not relying on just one income source. Habit number 5, not having an emergency fund. Listen, you know, life happens. Cars break down, medical bills pop up, life be lifing. And if you're not prepared, you're forced to rely on credit cards and go deeper into debt, making it even harder for you to get ahead. Listen to me, an emergency fund is not a luxury. It is a pure necessity, and it needs to be prioritized. It's your financial safety net that keeps you from falling and going into a debt spiral. As I said earlier, aim for 3 to 6 months of living expenses to be in your emergency savings account. And again, start small. If you don't have $10,000 to put into your emergency savings account, that's okay. Start where you are, work with what you've got, and then build from there. Even just $500 can cover many unexpected expenses. Now, to build it up easily, you're going to pay yourself first, like we talked about earlier. You can automate your savings so that you're consistently building this fund up over time. Again, I want you to remember that your emergency savings account, your 3 to 6 months of living expenses, should be in a high yield savings account. Now again, you can click the link in the show notes or the one that I've linked above, and I'll give you my top 5 high yield savings accounts. But I also want to share with you an example of why it's so crucial that you put your money in a high yield savings account instead of a normal traditional savings account. For this example, we're going to say that someone has a $5,000 per month living expense. Multiply that times 6, that means that this person needs to save $30,000 in their emergency savings account in order to have a fully funded emergency savings. This is the minimum amount this person needs to save in order to feel comfortable should an emergency or some catastrophic financial event occur in their life. Now let's do the math on this. And let's call her Kelly for the purposes of this example. Kelly has $30,000 in an emergency savings account. If Kelly puts her money in a traditional savings account earning 0.45% interest, by the end of the year, she will have $135 that she didn't do anything for. It just sat in the account and it earned $135. Now let's say Kelly took that same $30,000 and put it in a high yield savings account earning the average of 5%. Instead of $135, Kelly will have earned $1,500 by the end of that year. That means that Kelly is losing $1,365 every year that her money is not in a high yield savings account. Do you see why this is important? This is an important mindset shift, because when you realize that it's not that she's not getting the extra $1,365, it's that she's actually losing $1,365 that makes the difference. Habit number 6, ignoring debt. In my opinion, debt really should be labeled as public enemy number 1. Debt isn't just a number, it's literally a thief that steals your financial freedom. Every dollar that you're paying someone else in debt repayments is money that you cannot pay yourself. It's money that you cannot invest. So having debt burdening you down is actually preventing you from getting to where you really want to go. And listen, normal people have debt. You're not normal. You're extraordinary. Because like I always say, I don't wake up every day to be average. I wake up to be extraordinary. And if you're watching my channel, that means you wake up to be extraordinary also. You don't want to be like the average person. So don't. Pretending like your debt doesn't exist or only paying the minimum is a huge mistake, and it's going to keep you stuck in that debt cycle. As someone who had over $147,000 of my own debt that I paid off in 8 months myself, I can assure you that once it's gone, you feel so free, so light. Like you feel like literally anything is possible financially. Because if you can pay off the debt that you have, that means that you can now take the money that you were allocating to debt repayments and now you can put that into your emergency savings, which means that you can pay yourself a lot faster and get to that 3 to 6 months way sooner than you could if you were still trying to deal with that debt. And once that emergency savings is built up, you can take that same amount of money and now you can invest it. And now you rolling with the big dogs. Getting rid of debt literally feels like a burden has been lifted off of your shoulders. Like I promise you, the day that I made my last debt payment, I'm telling you, the day I paid it off, I felt like almost like a physical weight that was lifted off of my body. I promise you. And it will feel the same way for you if you are dealing with debt right now. And if you're not dealing with debt, if you've already paid off your debt, let me know in the comments. Am I the only one who felt this burden get lifted? Because I can't be the only one. I know somebody else had to have felt the exact same way once they were able to get rid of their debt. So let me know in the comments if that was you. Real talk. High interest debt like credit cards, which we would call consumer debt, that's especially dangerous. The interest on those type of cards tend to pile up faster than you can even pay it off. And it leaves you feeling trapped. We don't like that. Here's some real numbers. Because if you follow me on here, then you know I like to really get to the numbers to illustrate why these things are so important. As of December of last year, the average American household carries $6,380 in credit card debt. You may have more, you may have less, but that's the average. Now, the average interest rate during the same period of time was 23.37%. So let's run some numbers now. When you do the math, that's around $124 going to the interest of that debt every single month, not to the principal. So that debt is not being paid down nearly as much as you might think, because $124 on average is going to the debt interest alone. So let's say the minimum payment that the credit card company tells you is $140. That means you're only paying $16 toward the actual balance of the bill. So if you're an average person, right, having that $6,380 in debt with the 23.37% interest rate, and you're paying, let's say, $140 as your minimum payment every single month, it's gonna take approximately 114 months. That's 9.5 years of your life to pay this debt off. So that means that over that period of time, you'll pay a total of $15,960, which is more than double the amount of the debt that you actually incurred. See why I say that debt is public enemy number one? It's gotta go. Here's how to fix this problem. Use the debt snowball method. That means you pay your credit card bills off from the smallest amount to the highest amount. And that helps you build momentum so you can knock that debt out. This has to be your top priority. Stay consistent and track your progress. Again, you can use my free budget tracker. I've linked it in the show notes and it's also pinned to the top of the comments. And that brings us to habit number 7, which is lacking financial education. This one is real big. Assuming that money is too complicated or too boring to learn about. That's how the system keeps people stuck. And they want you to be financially illiterate. Do they teach you financial literacy in school? Do they teach it in elementary, middle, or high school? For the most part, no. I do know that some schools in some states nowadays are requiring like one class in financial literacy, but one class out of 12 years of school, come on now. But they have time and energy to teach you the Pythagorean theorem. They got time and energy to teach you how to do the order of operations. They got time and energy to teach you calculus, all of which I took, none of which I've ever used in my life. Not once did I have a financial literacy class in school. And even when I went to college, it wasn't required for my major. So I didn't learn it. And you are more than likely just like me, unless you were a finance major. And most of us, we're not finance majors. So you are left to your own devices to figure it out. Luckily, you're here watching me on the Get Money Show and you're learning, but keep it up. Consistency is key here, because without financial literacy, it's really easy to make decisions that are going to hurt you in the long run. Now, keep in mind, you don't have to become a finance expert, but just knowing the basics can mean the difference between struggling and thriving. Simple concepts like compound interest, tax strategies, and budgeting can transform your whole entire life. Here's what you need to do. Just start small. Watch videos like this one. Read books like the top 3 money books that I recommend. You can check those out at the link above, and I've also linked them in the show notes here for you. Or join a community like My Rich Friends. We go deep into this sort of stuff every single week. You'll learn not only what to do, but also how to apply it and how to go from where you are to getting to that 7-figure net worth and beyond. That link is also pinned to the top of the comments and linked in the show notes for you. Now, these are not just random tips. They are significant shifts that can change the trajectory of your whole entire life, and not only your life, but your family's life and your kids' life as well. Because each one teach one. Once you learn it, you're bound to be excited about it and start teaching others around you. And at that point, you will have changed your entire family tree for the better. Let me know in the comments which one of these habits hit home the hardest for you. And if you're serious about transforming your financial life, I need you to like this video. Help the algorithm help yourself and help others, okay? Make sure that you also leave me a comment and click subscribe if you're not already a subscriber to the Get Money Show. And you know what to do. Please, please, please hit the bell for notifications so that you receive a message every time I have a new episode or a new live stream so you never miss another video. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Peace.